Welcome to Black Businesses Matter, a podcast about why Black businesses matter and the benefits of collaborating and advocating for Black businesses to drive impact. Each episode will cover legacy, hope, Black joy, funding sources, cultural shifts, equality, and so much more. We will provide inspiration and action while spreading some joy to a thriving community of Black business owners and leading thought leaders.
I am Larvetta Lofton, your host and the founder of the L3 Agency.
Known as the brand maven who transforms organizations with her storytelling prowess, meet Larvetta L. Lofton, host of Black Businesses Matter, a podcast about why Black businesses matter and the benefits of collaborating and advocating for Black businesses to drive impact.
Welcome back to another episode of Black Businesses Matter. Guys, happy Women's History Month. We're talking about all things women who are winning in this world, all over the world. But, we've got some folks that are doing some incredible things in Chicago. As you know, we are headquartered in Chicago. And so whenever I get to sit in the room with women who are building businesses that are changing the world with innovation, with obviously, and I say innovation, elevation, acceleration, we are just moving at the speed of light. And so my next guest, I think you guys are going to get something different from her because, I think when people build a business and they spend more time on research before their launch, that's pretty impressive. You just don't go out and do it. You really take the time to test it. And so my ladies, we love protective hairstyles. We love it. We love what we can do. In fact, today I needed to have on a wig today. I was like, if I had a wig today I would wear it because it is gloomy outside. And, but they did anticipate it was going to snow today. So it's not snowing, but it is gloomy and it is raining. So I'm excited to bring our next guest. And again, sit back and really hear her story about how she is building this very new startup company because it's still in the starting stages, but she's really built some really strong partnerships and as she builds. Jannice Newson is a social entrepreneur in the hair and beauty industry. She holds degrees in environmental science and conservation ecology, where her research focused on wetlands and agro-ecosystems. She is the co-founder and CEO of Lillian Augusta Beauty. She's going to tell you a little bit more about that, okay, guys? Which sells plant-based hair extensions. Yep, you heard it. Plant-based hair extensions. She's on the board of Enterprise for Youth's Climate and Career Corps and Charles Roundtree Bloom Project. She'll talk a little bit about that. She lives here in Chicago and enjoys crochet and reading autobiographies in her downtime. Welcome to the show, Jannice.
Thank you for having me.
I'm excited. So I walked in the door. She said, hey, I'm not feeling my best. I said, well, come on in. This is going to be the best show ever. Because when we don't feel our best and we show up for our business, I always think, well, Katori has always said that. She was like, that's when it's going to be one of the best shows ever. So I look forward to that.
Best show ever.
Yeah, I'm telling you, the ones that come and they're like, oh, I'm not feeling it today. I'm not the greatest. And I can even tell you some of my moments where I didn't want to be here. But when I heard the stories, it inspired me to stay on this path as a podcast host. So I will say we all feed off of each other. And because it is Women's History Month, we get to really feed and really understand the dynamics that women are faced with. But Jannice, I want to know, before we get started in the business, who was Jannice as a little girl?
Little Jannice?
Yes.
You want to know about?
Oh, she blew up. She was like, little Jannice. Okay,
Little
yes.
Jannice. What was she doing? Little Jannice, well, she grew up here in Chicago on the West Side in Humboldt Park.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And I lived with my mom.
Okay.
And my uncle and my grandma and my brother. And I was...
Who's the oldest?
My brother's the oldest.
Okay.
And I was a sporty child. I played basketball.
Okay.
And I was a quiet child for a while. And then once I started playing basketball, the coach said, look, you can't be on this team if you don't talk. You have to start talking. So at that point, I started talking, and I've been an extrovert since then.
Okay. I feel that. So basketball was your thing?
Yeah, I was really into basketball. I played throughout high school, and then I was like, I think I'm done with that. That's the end of that chapter. I'm on to the next thing. And during high school was when I got into environmental science. So I had the opportunity to have an internship at the Chicago Botanic Garden.
Wow.
And shout out to them. Shout out to Chicago Botanic Garden.
I
agree.
agree.
Have an internship for Chicago public school students, and they will come and pick you up in the city and take you out to the Botanic Garden. They will pay you, and you get exposed to environmental science. So that's what I did in the summer. And I got up there. I was like, oh, you could get paid to frolic in the grass. Like that's what it felt like to me. Like, oh, we're outside and this is somebody's job. I want to do this. Yeah. And that's how I got into environmental science.
That's pretty dope. Like, thank you for exposing us, because when I was reading your bio, I was like, I don't have it, like environment. First thing I'm thinking of is trees, right? And then to know that there is an internship where you can learn about that and be exposed and get picked up. I mean,
and get picked up.
I've just got to sit on that.
They came and picked us up.
Wow, that's dope. That's dope. And so was it Chicago Public School, all around the city of Chicago, or was it from a particular?
It was all around the city. So they picked up people across the city, and they would take you out there Monday through Friday to go to work, and then they bring you back.
Wow, that's pretty dope. That's awesome. And so that's where your love for environmental science began?
That's where it all started. So after that, I decided that was what I wanted to study. I continued to work there for the next 2 years. Okay. And once I was in college, I pursued environmental science as a major. I did my research in environmental science. And I decided I'm still into this. I want to keep doing this. So I went to graduate school to continue to study a specific part of environmental science, which is when I was on the farm. I was studying pests on farms.
Wow, that's super incredible. So tell me this, and I'm just curious, and I know we're going to dig into your business, but you've been hearing about all these. I've been hearing about how they are engineering the farming to create people's behaviors. So I was reading about that. Like, is that possible?
Engineering, are you talking about genetically modified organisms?
Yeah, well, it was talking about it from the farming, like the things, putting stuff. So I guess it is genetic. I don't know all the terms, but they were talking about, because the food industry is starting to take a dip down because people are eating less, because they are making better choices with dieting. And they were talking namely about Ozempic. And so they were saying how, people are curbing their diets, because they want to live, but they're engineering these food for addictions, for people to be addicted to all these things. Is that possible?
Well, I haven't been on more of the human intake part of the agriculture, more of how the agriculture impacts the earth itself, right? So continuously farming in one sort of way can be detrimental to the soil and can be detrimental to the landscape. However, we do have a lot of information now that it's detrimental to people as well. There are certain things out there that can impact your health adversely. And now that we have more information, people are learning about it and they want to make better choices. They want to eat things that make them feel good. They want to eat things that keep them out of the doctor's office.
That's so true. And I think do you think that people, do you think in this wave, right, that people will start having more gardens and even in urban communities? Like on individual gardens?
I do think so. Urban farming is something that's growing.
Yeah.
It's something that people want to learn how to do, especially today where everywhere you go, someone's talking about the price of an egg or a piece of chicken.
Yeah.
So some people might just go start growing chickens and eggs on their own and growing their own tomatoes as opposed to seeking it out somewhere else. If you have a little bit of space, you can grow something in it.
Yeah, that's good. Do you think that and we're going to dig into, guys, so that you all can understand kind of her transition into the beauty industry. So you worked in environment. So where did you decide this right here is I want to revolutionize the beauty industry? Because that's what you're doing, right? In the way that we see protective hairstyles and protective hair. And changing behaviors, because you also are changing behaviors and making people see that there's options. So where did that shift come?
I never planned to start any business ever. And little Jannice probably would agree. Like, we're not going to do that. Why would we do that? That's not a good idea. But as I mentioned, I started in the environmental field. And based on the research that I was doing, farms, in the lake, I was outside a lot. And when I was outside, I wanted to have my hair in a way that required little work on my part because it's humid and it's raining and it's snowing and there's a lot happening. So I didn't want to deal with my hair. So I was wearing braids when I was outside and I was getting allergic reactions to the braids. I said, well, okay, this is getting on my nerves. I want to wear these braids, but they don't want to wear me, right? It's getting uncomfortable. Why am I putting up with this? And then eventually I was complaining so much about it that I decided to do something about it. I was complaining to a friend about it and I was saying, this hair is itchy. It's breaking my skin out. My neck hurts. I don't like this at all. And then the next day it was like, okay, yeah, let's do something about that. Let's start a business and make some other version. And to make a plant-based version kind of seemed like a natural next step because I was already working with plants, working in the fields and in the farms and in the prairies. So I was like, this is something I'm familiar with. I'll make it from plants. And I was in school at the time at the University of Michigan, and I was in the School of Environment department. And bless their hearts, they don't have any money. I walked out and I walked over to the business school and I said, hey, I want to make hair from plants. I don't have any. I don't know how to make it. Wow. But people will buy it. Trust me, people will buy it. Yeah. And they said, okay. And they helped me out. They helped me make a business plan, business model. They gave me money.
Wow.
They gave me money.
That's dope.
That was very important. Yeah. And I got started.
Yeah, that's a good way. You know how value, right? We have to understand that when people say they're going to give you money, that equates to value, that you have a valuable product that they want to see happen. I think that was such a boost of confidence. Don't you think? I mean, for you, yeah.
Certainly. Yeah. And it was necessary to make anything happen. At the time, I was a full-time student. I had a job. I had student loans. I didn't really have anything to make something happen with. So without any sort of external funding, it would have just been me talking about hair. Like, I'm making hair. Yeah. I'm not actually doing it, but I want to, right? But the money made it actually happen.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so knowing that today and what you are building, and I do want you to share with our listeners, obviously the brand name, but I want you to tell me about where does the Lillian Augusta Beauty come into place?
Yes. So our company is named Lillian Augusta Beauty. We do call ourselves Lab for short. And I named the company Lillian Augusta because my grandma is named Lillian Augusta.
I kind of figured that. I was like, it's giving me grandma.
Old black grandma name. You just smelled it.
But it felt very chic. It didn't feel like Medea, and it didn't feel like the kind where they burned your hair. You know what I mean? It just felt very chic. Like, this is a place where you just want to go and just feel amazing.
Well, hopefully she hears us talking sweetly on her name. But
Yes.
that's my grandma, Lillian
I love
Augusta.
her.
But Lillian Augusta Beauty Lab is part of the founding story. So once I got that initial money to get started, I was in a fiber lab on campus making the hair myself. I was going out, grabbing plants from the fields by campus. I was bringing them back to that lab to start making the hair. So the name was a way for me to honor my grandmother. She's a woman who came up during the Great Migration. She left home at a young age, moved to Chicago, and she's the matriarch of my family. So I wanted to honor strong, ambitious women like herself. And Lab talks about that story with starting the company.
I love that. So we are also paying homage. It's Women's History Month, so we get to pay homage to your grandmother, who, quite frankly, we think about generations that have paved the way for us to be able to be here, and the fact that you've created this beauty brand, in her honor. From that standpoint, was there anything from your grandmother that you're learning as you build this company? Like, even in the beauty industry, like, is there anything that you just recall from her that you see happening in the lab?
I would say that she had a lot of tenacity and she was a tough lady. She was sweet, but she had to be tough, right?
Yeah.
She was coming up at a time where there was an incredible amount of obstacles in front of her, and she was still able to pave a way for her children and eventually, my generation to be here today talking to you. So I do appreciate her spirit of tenacity, and that's something that I do carry with me today.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Beautiful. Lillian Augusta. That's beautiful. Lab. And I love that you've made it short for Lab. I think that's really cool. Because one of the things that it just goes with your story, right? Of coming from environment. Was that intentional?
Well, coming from the environment
in science world, like, you guys are in
Oh,
labs.
yeah. The name.
Okay.
It's all very
strategic.
well thought out. I think initially it was just, I love my grandma and I want to name it after my grandma. But through the evolution of the company and the name, it was like, okay, well, let's call it Lillian Augusta Beauty. And that's short for lab. And you started this in a lab and you're in environmental science. It all kind of came together.
Yeah, I love that's brand alignment is what I love to do. And when that happens, it just, people don't understand that's how you get to remember. Like, that's how you get to remember that story. And so understanding that. So tell me, when we think about plant-based, right? So I want to give, I know some of our listeners, I know have probably bought hair from the beauty supply houses, right? So let's just put that out there. What is different about going to Lillian Augusta Beauty?
So this hair has been designed with you in mind. From the beginning, back at the university, I had a problem, right? I had a problem with my braids and they were uncomfortable. But I didn't start a whole company because I just want to wear braids myself and be happy and walk around and not have any problems. My friends wear braids. My nieces wear braids. All people around the world are wearing
Black women.
braids. And dealing with unnecessary discomfort. You shouldn't get an allergic reaction from a hairstyle. You shouldn't have to go to the urgent care for a hairstyle.
That's true.
That is ridiculous. So what's different about Lab? We have taken into consideration not just data, right? Because we are talking about the lab and doing tests. We take into account the data, but we take into account stories from people. I talk to people who wear braids. I talk to braiders. Non-stop surveys, interviews, look at this, test this out. All of that went into the process of making this product. Because when you look at something that causes so many problems from a synthetic hair product, clearly something was missing in the process, which was you. Like, no one asked you how you want to wear the braids. No one asked you if it makes your skin itch. No one asked you anything. They just sold it to you. And do they wear braids? Because they probably would have known this is causing problems if they actually used the product themselves. So this has been a process of intentionally including the customer into the design, right? We get marketed to. They'll give us an ad. They'll give us a brochure. You'll get a post on social media. Come on over here. What about the design of the product itself? Where do we get to be involved in that? So I wanted to make sure that I could have our information and our voice and our opinion in the very beginning of the process.
You're listening to Black Businesses Matter, and we will continue our conversation in a second. But first, take a listen to this special message for our BBM fam.
We know how important it is to stay connected, so why not join our BBM Fam Club for special announcements and exclusive offers by texting BBM FAM to 312-300-1300. That's BBM FAM to 312-300-1300 today. Now let's get back to Black Businesses Matter.
And you've done it I think, with so much intentionality. And knowing that one is you don't have to look good and suffer, because that's what we are. We're looking good, but you're suffering and wanting to look good. And to be honest with you, I wonder, Jannice, were people like, this is a real story. My best friend experienced, she got it one day and she just broke out. Like it was, oh my gosh. And I was like, oh my gosh. She was like, it's something I've never even seen. Right. But it also makes me think about the relaxers. So I would break out after relaxers, like really, really bad. And the first thing they would say was, oh, that's sensitive skin, which I do. But they didn't have a remedy, but I kept doing it. So how do we help women to not normalize discomfort, normalize pain?
Well, when you don't have any other choices, that's what ends up happening, right? Yeah. I'm certainly not going to shame anyone that's worn synthetic hair relaxers, because those are our choices, right? Yep. You have synthetic hair for decades and there's nothing else. So you want to get braids, you wear synthetic hair. Yeah. That's pretty much it. But when you get some choices out there, now you can make some other decisions. So that's what we want to offer, the opportunity to make a different choice. We've made something and we've done clinical testing on it, right? Yeah. You're worried about sensitive skin. Here's our certification that is hypoallergenic, right? We want to give people the option to make a decision, because for quite some time, you haven't had the choice. You just have to get what's out there. Yeah. And that's all that was there.
Yeah. And I think, honestly, I say being intentional, even for me, while I didn't have allergic reaction to the synthetic hair, I think thinking about your brand, hearing your story, hearing things, it's making me more conscious, even though I'm not breaking. So that's the other part. You may not be, for our list, you may not be breaking out from it, but wouldn't you want to work for a brand or want a brand that really thought about you and thought about you in a very holistic way? That's what I see. And that's what in that realizing that we didn't have options before, but now we do. So let's change that behavior, because I do think it's a behavior too that you're running against. But because people are used to going to that same beauty supply house. They give me that same, the number, that number at the bottom, the numbers that people have to have. And I'm sure you know about these numbers, right? The 27s, the 28s. All the numbers that it takes, because it's, I just ordered some hair for crochet and I was asking my hairstylist, like, what do I get? Well, so everybody goes in there because they don't really know what to do. So what I do want to share is, how can people find out, more information about it, and where can they buy hair?
Yes, so you can check us out at hairwithoutharm.com. And you can purchase from hairwithoutharm.com. You can follow us on Instagram and TikTok as well as at Hair Without Harm. And we've been talking about allergic reactions, right, and rash. But there are some other things I'd like to point out on our product too. Okay. So in that process of interviewing clients, interviewing braiders, we wanted to see what other benefits we could offer to people. So another thing that people said was synthetic hair is heavy.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's breaking their hair off.
That's true.
So if you're concerned about breakage, Maybe you have thin hair. Yeah. Maybe you have traction alopecia.
Ooh,
we have a lighter hair product. So this is something that you could wear without excess breakage. If you're a braider, when we talked to the braiders, they kept saying synthetic hair burns my hands.
Wow.
It scratches up my hands. And how long does it take to get your hair braided? 4, 5, 6 hours. And they're standing. And now you're telling me their hands are burning and getting scratched up? Our hair is easier on the hands for your hairstylist. So we have a lot of benefits that we're looking to offer to the community with our product.
That's awesome. Can people come into your location in Chicago?
Yes, we do have a location here in Chicago. We are in the Woodlawn community. So if you order online, you can come pick up in person. And we do have events at our store too. So do sign up and subscribe at our website so you can know what's happening at the lab shop.
I love it. Hair without harm. I certainly appreciate you giving us the details. The other thing that I do want to ask is how hard, and it may not be hard, to get people to transition from what they were doing from synthetic hair to now plant-based hair.
A great thing about this journey, and something that always makes me smile, is when I have someone in front of me, right? Maybe at an expo or they come to the store and they just want to see a sample. So I show them some synthetic and I show them some of our hair, which I did with you too at the University of Chicago. And there is an immediate recognition of, this one's different, right? They can feel that it's softer. They can feel that it's lighter. They can feel that it looks more and feels more like human hair. So people are easily making that recognition that there is a difference and seeing themselves wearing that product.
Yeah. I do have a question, Jannice, right? As I think about, right, you revolutionizing an industry that's dominated within China. How does that make you nervous that, when I say nervous, know that not fearful, but does it make you nervous that China will duplicate? Because that's what they do.
It has been a bit of a nerve-wracking time throughout the journey. I remember when I first got started and I went to go talk to someone at the legal clinic. I said, I'm making some hair. This whispering to the lady, like, I'm making some hair and this is what I'm doing. I can't tell anyone, though. And she was like, you have to tell people. You'll never get anywhere if you don't tell anyone. Like, I know you're concerned and you're worried about what you're creating and your formula, but you have to tell people something. How else are they going to support you if you tell them? So we have a patent pending formula on our hair. So that does give me some confidence on what we're doing, right? Because we have taken that step to make sure we can protect our formula, because we've designed something that is made to look and feel like human hair. We've taken the necessary steps so that we have just the right combination of elements so that you can have a great hair product. When it comes to people producing abroad, I think my main concern is that as plant-based hair becomes more popular, people will try to pass off plastic as plant-based hair. And that's no good, right? We don't want people to be misled buying something that they think is good for them and they have sensitive skin and they wear it and they're back at the urgent care, right? We don't want that to happen at all. So that's something I'm thinking about now, and how we can further validate what is plant-based and what's not. So as these people that may come about, right, they may see, hey, they're doing plant-based hair over there. We're going to pretend to do something over here too. Think about how we can make sure we can validate what we have so people don't end up getting misled by what's out there on the market.
I love that. And I'm glad I asked that question, because oftentimes people always say, well, we got a lot of beauty products. Oh, we got a lot of this, right? And so it almost makes, for some people, whether you have a revolutionary idea, they just don't know your idea. And a lot of times we allow what the market looks like for us to see our product grow and scale and honestly make a difference in the world, because honestly, your product is making a difference, right? It is making a difference not only to our environment, but to our hair. Did you find, and I don't know if this is true, based on the hair that you have, is food directly related to plant-based, like the food you eat? Like, a lot of times they'll say, hairstylists will be like, what are you eating? Because I can, I know what's in your, like I can see your scalp. I can see that. So is there any food correlation to
it's
plant-based?
interesting that you brought this up, because the hairstylist does a lot more than just your hair, right?
Yep.
They can tell that you're under stress, more stress than usual. Hairstylists are actually one of the first people to identify domestic abuse in clients as well, because you come in and they can see that you have bruises or that you have scars. And change in diet, right? Maybe you're starting to eat a lot more fried food than usual, and that's coming into play with your skin and your hair. So hairstylists see these changes as they're happening in your body, and that can include your diet. It can include the atmosphere around you that's stressing you out. So food certainly can play a role in how you're doing your hair routine.
I totally, and I'm glad that we're saying that, because I think people don't understand that piece. And so, guys, Jannice Newson, Hair Without Harm. The reason why I was pulling out just a second ago our BBM mag, which is our mag for the podcast, and we have had and I gotta just say this because it's these kinds of stories of collaboration that I think are important. So while we have had over 100 episodes, right, we've been at this for 3 years. My greatest joy is when we get to see collaboration from two businesses. And so we have Jannice here, guys, with Hair Without Harm, and we have Noelle Curtis with Busy Boulevard. She's been on the show. She's going to also we're going to be airing her for Women's History Month too. So listen to this. Boss Babes, happy Women's History Month. Two women partnering out of Chicago, coming together to revolutionize the beauty industry. Jannice with plant-based hair, Noelle helping you to build systems and a back office for beauty professionals to grow. I love that partnership. Like, I love that not only you found a product, but you found a partner that can help your stylists really grow their back office. So you're just not saying, here's some hair, but I want to see you win. I want to see you continue to grow. I want to see. So I just think that that's powerful. So if you want to hear about both of them, obviously, keep tuning, keep rocking with us. But I do have to ask you this, Jannice, why do Black businesses matter?
Well, small businesses and Black businesses are so key to our economy. Think of all of the small businesses and Black-owned businesses that we've been supporting throughout history, right? These are places that our families own and run. True. These are places in our neighborhoods that we shop. These are the places that know you, right? These are the owners that write you a note when they send you your package and say, thank you for your support. Thank you for sticking with us for 2, 3, 4 years. Awesome. These are the people that take the time to make things that you want, to make things that fit with your lifestyle. And that's why they matter, right? These are key to our way of life, right? They're key to our culture. And I hope that we can continue to support our Black businesses throughout this year and into the future. Yeah, I agree. Oh, I love that. And I love that you really talked specifically women. One of the things that for Women's History Month, now I'm intentional. I buy Black. That's who I am till I die. Till God says it's time for me to leave. Know that they'll leave. I know, right. But I'm not leaving no time soon. No time soon. But one thing you're going to know about me is I will have Black products around me. I will have purchased them. I will leave them. I will have them. And that's the beauty, because one of the things that I feel is that because in my mind, that's Black stories being told.
right? It's the Black stories that are being told. Like, did you know that this brand, like when we think about the Lusters and the Soft Sheens out of Chicago, we knew their story. And that's one of the things that we want. So we know we get to hear your story in who you are. And so I love that. And so in Women's History Month, one of the things that I am challenging, and I say challenging, so you brought it up, during this month, I know we're going to, they've created March 10th, the Day of Rest for Black women. I didn't know. I was like, oh, okay, I'll take it. But this month, you said it. Write a letter to that sister who is building business and building community and impacted. She could really deserve a letter. When you said that note, it's so powerful that we move around in this world. We're texting, email, inboxing, DMs, you name it. But it's something special about writing that note, getting a card from your friend to say, I see you. I'm proud of you. Keep pushing, right? Your story has to be told. We see you. So I'm challenging this month that there's a girl. You may not know her, but you love what she stands for. Check on her, look in her Instagram, find her address, and drop her a note in the mail. That kind of women impact is huge because women are faced with so much when they're building a business. And I think it's important. Those that are building community, those are the building businesses that are building generations to be able to see, and they could use that personal note. When you said that, I was like, thank you for bringing that to remembrance. Because
if you write me a note, I might burst into tears. So I should certainly appreciate a note. Yeah. You never know how those words and actions can change someone's outlook on their day, on their whole life. Even a dear friend of mine, she lives on the opposite end of the city. Mm-hmm. We used to work together, and she said, I want to give you a lamp. And she had been trying to give me this lamp for months. And she finally made it down to the store, and she gave me the lamp, and I put it in the room. I turned it on, and it just made me so happy because I was like, she went out of her way to give me this lamp. She know I needed a lamp.
I love
First
it.
of all, like, girl, I need some furniture over here. But she made that intentional journey to give me that lamp because she cares about me and she knows I'm trying my best and striving for success. But it's a long road. It's a hard road.
Yeah, it is.
And it really brightened my day.
Good. And that's why we have to collaborate. And I think through collaboration is sending that note. You're collaborating with your sister to let her know that you see them and you're proud of them and that you're here and that when nobody's watching, they've got a fan, right? And you get to see that and make that tangible. So for Women's History Month, please, I challenge you, I implore you to go don't make it real deep. Get you a piece of paper, notebook paper, write a little note, put it in the mail. Because sometimes we got to go get a card. We got to go get all the things. No, guys, go do it. And if you like me, I got a bunch of stamps in my drawer. So that's easy for me to do. So I'm challenging myself this entire month to do that. Okay. So what brings you joy, Jannice?
What brings me joy? The little things that keep things moving forward, like that lamp, that really did bring me a lot of joy, right? When someone sends me a message and they say, I'm so glad I found out about your brand, wishing you the best. Yeah. It really lifts my spirit and tells me you need to keep going. You need to keep going every day. Get up and figure something out.
Yeah. She's just starting off. We understand what that feels like. Even when you've been in business for a long time, it's still frightening. It's still scary. It's still like, oh my gosh, you have taxes, you have all the things that the weight is heavy sometimes. So I understand. I as women, the weight is heavy. And not to say, again, this isn't that it's not for men. It's just the weight is just heavy because in a lot of ways, we just want to see people love our product and our service. That's what it is. So we want to, in some regards, some might call it perfection. I just call it's just you want to be able to deliver excellence. And I think there's nothing wrong with that in delivering excellence. So guys, hair, withoutharm.com. And how is that the best way to reach out to you? Website?
Yes, reach out via our website. You can also email at info@hairwithoutharm.com.
Excellent. Partnerships. So she's already made a partnership with one of our BBM guests. So I challenge you to partner with a woman-owned business. And guys, download our mag. It's beautiful, I might add. Actually, Jannice, I might have to give you one, huh? I'll have to give you one. So I have a few in the studio. And so it is our signature mag. It amplifies our stories that are being told on our podcast to really get you to go and learn about their stories and share with them. And one of the things that I proposed in Black History Month, and I will propose for Women's History Month, is sharing an episode with a friend. And here's how you can share. You can just simply share it with your sister and say, check out this episode. Or you can invite some friends over to the lab, listen to her episode, right?
Now that's
listen to her
idea.
episode and really talk about it. Maybe we just created a whole thing, Jannice.
I think we just came up with
I think we just came up with, you see what women do? I love this. And so maybe when we drop her episode, you can come into the lab, hear the story, talk a little bit more with her. Maybe we can do that. Let's figure out how to do that. How does that sound?
I think that would be really nice.
I love when... Notice I said collaboration and partnership. See, once again, we want more of that. So I just want to say thank you guys. We appreciate you for listening. We'll see you next week. And thank you for rocking with us for another episode of Black Businesses Matter. See you next week.
The Black Businesses Matter podcast is produced by the L3 Agency, a culturally sensitive influencer, marketing, and communications firm in Chicago, where relationships are our currency, passion is our profit maker, and people are our bottom line. Follow us on Instagram at Black Businesses Matter.